It's our Saturday night gathering again, and we're missing a fair number of the community. Of course, with I guess there's about 4 of the monks on forest practice, solitary practice, and then Ajahn Yaniko and a couple others have gone to Cloverdale to be with the Buddhist bicycle pilgrimage gang, who will be showing up here tomorrow. But that's a regular feature of the sort of Buddhist bicycle pilgrimage. That was the brainchild of Dennis, and he's waiting patiently for them to arrive tomorrow. There. But there's certain things that happen in the year, and that's one of them. But our regular gathering, Saturday night opportunity to reflect on Dhamma together, reflect on our practice. And I've been reflecting on this a tendency that we have, all of us, I think to a greater or lesser degree, we're trying to measure our practice and quite rightly out of concern. Are we doing it right? Are we doing the right thing? Are we doing it in the right way? What is the right way? Because of course we tend to want some concrete measurement. How much am I sitting? How much am I walking? How much time do I have on my own? But I think it's important to reflect on how the Buddha presents, say, just reflecting on right effort. When we think of right effort, then again, what am I doing? How much am I doing? How does it? How tired am I? Have I really put in effort? There's all these different tendencies to trying to figure out how to measure, and when the Buddha talks about right effort, then it's much more around the sense of what is it that leads to an increase of wholesome qualities, what leads to a decrease of unwholesome qualities. It's around the qualities of the heart, qualities of the mind, that we're trying to understand. What's the effect of our practice? What are the qualities of heart that are being facilitated and nurtured? And with that in mind, it's just what I was reminded of is a teaching that the Buddha gave to his stepmother, and she had, and it's not clear in the sutta how long she's been ordained, but say after some time of being ordained, and it was probably a little while, because she was the first bhikkhuni to take take on ordination and training, and there was probably a sense of responsibility of trying to get this newly formed order in some kind of stable way, shape, in some way, and that's just a projection on my part, but I would think so. And but anyway, she goes to the Buddha and asks to take leave to go into have a period of solitude and practice, and ask for some guidance, and the guidance that the Buddha gave was to, how to discern what is Dhamma, what is Vinaya, and in a sense, what is the essence of the teaching, what is the essence of the training. So it's, and of course, there's, again, it's sort of all sorts of ideas could probably pop in our heads of, what's the true Dhamma, what's the proper discipline, how do you keep the rules rightly, and how do you train yourself. But the way that the Buddha talked about was, again, about qualities of heart, and he gave these 8 qualities that when it leads to dispassion rather than to passion, then you can know that this is according to, you're practicing according to Dhamma, you're practicing according to Vinaya, you're following the teaching and the training, fulfilling the teaching and the training. So the sense of dispassion, and and it's important to recognize that dispassion in, say, because sometimes there are some problems with translation, or not so much translation, but the connotations that certain words have, and in, say, in the Buddha's teaching, the word that's used for dispassion is not just kind of a neutral disinterest, or an active disinterest in anything, but it is a cooling of passion. Because we do get swept up in all sorts of things, whether it's fear and fear and aversion. That's a good thing to get passionate about in election time. So there, it's or at any time really, but you see how primal it is, or the desire, the kind of the craving mind, seeking distraction, seeking stimulation. It stirs up passion, and but dispassion is a cooling, so that there is a clarity of heart that is really but in the, say, certainly the word that the Buddha uses, viraga, is there's a brightness and steadiness of heart that is when the Buddha is speaking of dispassion, so that being able to approach our practice, approach the world, approach our interactions with the people around us with quality of a brightness but steadiness that isn't easily shaken by the emotional pulls of passion, whether they're positive or negative, and it's much more able to assess what's useful, what's beneficial, what's really going to be for long-term welfare and happiness, which is one of the idioms that comes up in through the Buddha's teachings. So what again, sort of what is useful, and says, well, something that leads to one's long-term welfare and happiness is really important. But there does need to have some dispassion, so that there's still clarity and a stillness, but it's even. The sense of to detachment. I mean, it's kind of the next quality that the Buddha points to is detachment rather than to bondage, and I think that's fairly easy in the sense of just like not having this quality of detachment that is not tied. One doesn't tie oneself, either to the material world or to the emotional pulls of things. There's a detachment, and or just trying to get what we want. We put ourselves into bondage of trying to get what we want, having things go to our preferences, having things go to according to our views and opinions. We're tied really tightly to that, and without a sense of detachment. So it's like Ajahn Chah saying like trying to have the world conform to one's preferences, or people conform to one's preferences, so that you're going to be comfortable and secure, and everything's going to go just the way one likes or wants or prefers. So that's like looking for a turtle with a mustache. It's not going to happen. And so it's when you find that turtle with a mustache, then you'll be satisfied. So there needs to be a sense of detachment, because we're not going to live in a comfortable world. We're not going to live with a mind that's always going to conform to what we think it should do. And we're not going to live with people who are going to always be supportive of my well-being and my happiness. I mean, it just isn't the way it works. Even when you come to live in a monastery, it's not like that. I've been doing this for over 50 years, and the perfect monastery in the perfect world, it doesn't exist. I mean, good enough is good enough, and being willing to work with that, again, with detachment, learning how to. And again, there's sometimes that detachment is sort of like, oh, you can't feel anything. But this is not true. I mean, it's but the filters of one's biases are one's willing to drop, one's willing to let go, and that's it's really really important. So the sense. The next quality that the Buddha points to is what leads to shedding and not to accumulating is accords with Dhamma and accords with Vinaya, and against this sense of being willing to let go, the sense of that accumulating, and it's not just in the material realm of having more and more stuff, and that accumulating of just material goods. It's certainly the habit of the world. America has perfected it. There's acres and acres and acres all through the country of storage units, and with people's stuff that their houses weren't big enough to hold, so you put it into storage units. And some shedding would be really helpful. It was really embarrassing when we started the monastery, and we became the proud owners of a storage unit in town as well. It was mostly for books, where we just didn't have enough space for the books for free distribution. But still, it felt really weird to this is sort of having that. Okay, a monastery has also got a storage unit. but shedding rather than to accumulation. That there's a lot of lightness comes when we're not carrying the burden of accumulating, possessing. Because like Ajahn Chai, you said, be careful what you build, what you get, because you have to look after it. And it's just that sense of being able to let go, or like Ajahn Chah's very well known kind of succinct approach to letting go. You let go a little, you get a little peace. You let go a lot, you get a lot of peace. You let go completely, you get complete peace. It's a very simple equation. So paying attention to that, shedding, letting go. That which leads to modesty and not self-aggrandizement is in accord with Dhamma and Vinaya. And just if somebody is really practicing this teaching and this training, they're not going to be puffed up and or with easily bruised egos. It's just it's an anathema to the practice, and letting go is a letting in this practice is a letting go of material things, but it's also a letting go of this sense of identification with self, this identification with that kind of very deep rooted kind of program of this is me, this is mine, this is what I am, and it attaches to the whole realm of our emotions and thoughts, and so that, but the sense of letting go extends to the sense of self, and so there's a great sense of modesty, or kind of unselfishness, an ease where one can be with in any situation with any kind of people and not be either intimidated or fearful or uncomfortable, because one's not having to prop up a sense of self, and a tremendous freedom in that, or worried about what people are thinking of one. There's all these different permutations are the kind of freedom of the sense of not having to carry around that sense of me and mine, and so it leads to this modesty, an ease of being within the human condition. The next quality that the Buddha talks about is it leads to contentment, not to discontent. And so that there's tremendous peace in being content. And it doesn't mean that one isn't motivated or doesn't have any kind of diligence in accomplishing what needs to be done, but there's an ability to be content with what is, and whether one succeeds or fails or is difficult or easy. There's still a sense of contentment, even when something's really difficult. Not going through, things aren't sort of going one's way. Practice isn't all that smooth. You can still be content with it, knowing that you're doing your best. You're trying what you can do, and that rather than being discontent. The world isn't good enough. What I have isn't enough. What I am is not enough. I have to be something else. There's this discontent is such a such a killjoy. It's hard to have joy when there's discontent there, and so and it's important to experience joy. Joy and ease and well-being are really foundational to allowing the mind, allowing the heart to really settle and become clear. And then even reflecting on the use it as a reflection in one's meditation. Can I be content with just sitting, watching an in-breath and an out-breath? Can I be content watching this mind arise and cease? Can I be content with relinquishing and letting go of greed, hatred, and delusion? Or am I discontent and always looking for something else all the time? So that you realize how, of course, how deep one can take that quality of contentment, and it's because it is a key aid in practicing this path that the Buddha laid down. And it's one of the Buddha mentions it as something that when there is contentment rather than discontentment, then you can be confident that you're following this teaching and this training. that which leads to seclusion rather than to company. So that the and I mean there is a balance that is struck with the Buddha's teaching, because it's not that one needs to shun contact with everybody and everything and live in total seclusion, because the Buddha also emphasizes the importance of having good spiritual friendships, of having kalyanamitta, being surrounded by fellow practitioners who are skillful companions in this path of practice. But it's still the comfort or the ease that one has in being able to be on one's own, rather than constantly having to seek company, having to seek contact with stimulation, with other social situations, and just being able to simplify the mind, the heart, so that there's there's kind of an uncomplicated stillness that is okay. I don't have to be seeking people out, seeking situations out, doing. And we're great doers, and even when we kind of go up to our kutis and meditate, it's oftentimes we're busy doing all the time, and it's sort of, we populate our solitude with, we get into almost like a competitive state with ourselves, and so it is just trying to do the right thing, trying to be perfect, trying to get everything right, and it's like it's just the company of busyness is a bane to the clarity of the heart. It's just seeking this sense of seclusion, a solitude of heart. Next quality that the Buddha points to is just the arousing of persistence. When there's arousing of persistence, arousing of energy, arousing of diligence, as opposed to laziness. There's not much gets accomplished by laziness, and we're all familiar with it. But it's good to remind ourselves to be diligent, or to be that this path of practice does require a certain application of effort. It's like it's not that you get frantic trying to do all the time, but there's a quality of, again, there's a kind of quality of joy and brightness of mind comes when we know we're sort of doing something in a full way rather than a half-hearted way. And there's this great sense of satisfaction just by doing something well, being circumspect, being being complete. Again, rather than that kind of a half-hearted attempt at something that one tries to describe as practice. So that arousing persistence. The last quality that the Buddha points to is it being unburdensome rather than being burdensome. Being easy to, and this particularly for monastics, but it's very much for, as living in the world. We do live in community, or with social connections or obligations with other people in situations, so that being unburdensome rather than being burdensome, being easy to look after rather than to being difficult to look after, and being uncomplicated rather than being complicated. There's a beauty to that is if one's practicing, it's becomes second nature. It's not living from the demands of the world to conform to one's desires or one's opinions. Is not putting demands on the world or the social situations around us. And it's quite, there's a beauty there. And it's like, and this is something that we chant in our morning chanting, and this teaching of the Lord Buddha is the path that he laid out is beautiful in the beginning, beautiful in the middle, beautiful in the end, and it truly is. And so that paying attention to the signs of what accord with the teaching and the training, and rather than trying to quantify it, how much you're doing and how much you're getting. It's more like, what's the quality of what we're doing? What are the qualities that we are fostering and living by? And you find that you paying attention to that, then you start to recognize, oh, this is what this is all about. This is what it's for. So I'll offer that for reflection this evening.